Welcome to the Don't Tell Mom podcast.
I'm Cullen. We are the duo, brother and sister, combination duo, whatever you want to call us.
We're kind of a trio right now. I'm Brittany, and this is Sophia and my belly.
Oh my God, did you change your blocks up there?
No,
You've
I
got
didn't.
3 weeks now?
Wow.
Holy cow.
I think 4 is good.
4 is good.
We'll just leave it like that.
She's like, I don't want to see that
We don't
number
really
tick
know.
down.
We don't know how many weeks left. She could come any day now, folks. When I went to my doctor, she said, "You ready? Because it could happen anytime."
Oh my
I was like,
gosh.
now that's scary. She said, I'm going to need you to go ahead and put the car seat in your vehicle. I was like, what?
Oh my God. Yeah,
Shit just got real.
You need to either go to a fire station or just come by and let me show you how to do it, because I'm like a professional car seat
I was going to
installer.
say, why am I going to a fire station when I got a professional in the family?
No, we actually had a registered nurse at our old house that I was friends with, that was a neighbor, that
That's convenient.
knew what to do as far as the car seat, and she gets in there and shoves her knee down in it and like tugs on it and everything like that. But
Why do they make it so hard?
well, it's not really once you figure it out, but like the original, then that's exactly what I said. And then you wait till you start traveling with the baby, and you don't want to take your car seat because it's too cumbersome. So you get to the rental car place and they give you a car seat from like 1970, and you're like, how did my mom and dad do this? Like,
They didn't. They threw us in the back of the I specifically remember riding in a station wagon. Remember that
my
old station
gosh,
wagon? On
yes.
the top of the window, like the back window. I would ride on that little ledge.
oh, that was so fun. We
Trying
used
to
to
see-
fight over that ledge.
That was the good
It
spot,
was
though.
like
You get to see the world.
Like, what in the world is the world coming to? We didn't have to wear helmets when we were riding our bikes. We could sit on the hood of the car driving down the street.
It's that one guy that just screwed it up for everybody.
Right?
You know what I mean? One asshole dad that slammed on the brakes too fast and his son went flying out the other end.
I told you to hold on, damn it.
Yeah, and then seatbelts were
And
invented.
it's so crazy too, because I'll read the back of like labels of like certain items or something, and it's like, please do not do this. And it's like they would not have
So
put that on
obviously-
there
Yeah.
unless
So
somebody
obviously
did that. It's like, why would you pour hot sauce in your eyes? You know, like,
Yeah, some asshole ruined it for
like,
everybody.
what the hell? You restricted this hot sauce. But anyway, welcome back to today's episode of
Hey.
the Don't Tell Mom podcast. We are back at it again.
What are we on? 31, 32?
32, episode 30 freaking 2.
Can you believe we've been going strong? We haven't missed a freaking Tuesday.
We have
Colin.
not missed a Tuesday.
Let me tell you.
Oh, we just tried to do, if y'all are watching. We just had one of
Colin
those
is not
awkward
cool.
like pound handshakes.
He's not hip.
do I
He's
fist
not
bump
hip
it
to it.
or slap it?
It shows your age.
Oh
Colin.
my
You're
gosh.
You're a
Yes.
high fiver. I'm a pounder. All right. We are 32 episodes in, and we have been podcasting
cannot believe
every
it.
week, and it's been fun, man. It's been a ride.
And we have steadily grown on this channel on YouTube and
Yeah.
in the podcast community. So thank you for all of the new subscribers that
Yes.
have come over to see how I struggle with addiction.
Yeah, it took you outing.
It took me like stepping out of my skin and out of my head and
Getting
out of
real.
myself and getting real for y'all to actually be invested in this. But we deeply, deeply appreciate it. And
Yeah.
I can't tell you. And it's a good segue into what we're going to talk about as far as connection and being together as a society and stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
A little bit of what we might touch on today as far as everything goes. But
Especially with all y'all, I think that one of the things that we kind of last week we were winging it the whole time, and this
Oh,
week
yeah.
we actually talked about it. And one of the things that we both agreed that we kind of wanted to do this episode was to just show y'all our appreciation and to talk about some of the things that y'all have told us. I mean, y'all's comments have been amazing. It's been such a big help, I know, for you and for me.
oh my
And
God, it's been amazing.
just to read, I mean, that's the whole thing. You know, we talked a lot about AA, NA, stuff like that, going to meetings and whatever. And everybody has their own way of getting recovery, you know?
Yes,
It doesn't
yes.
have to be a meeting. It doesn't have to be, you know, there's different ways that you can recover as long, whatever works for you. And that's what matters, right? But
right.
one of the things though with meetings is that you're going there because you're going to hear other people's stories and you're going to be able to relate and connect with those people. And that's definitely what I feel like we've done with y'all, with our audience.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
in the last 2 videos that we've been talking about addiction and recovery and things like that, we've had 1,000 comments.
Something like that total, yeah, between the last 2 videos. I mean, it's just been, and then I don't even count the replies that y'all are like talking to each other in the comments. Like it's
and
amazing.
giving each other support and love. And I mean, I think it just makes you realize how how so many people are affected by this and by the disease of addiction. And I don't think you can reach out and without touching somebody that's affected by it.
Yeah. And,
whether it be an addict or the family member of an addict, or
Yeah, well, I think that's the biggest thing that's been so eye-opening for me reading these comments is like how connected we all are with our lifestyles. And I saw Shay Carl, I think, the other day on Twitter. Yeah, I think it was Shay. And if y'all followed Shay's kind of story, he's gone through some issues in the past. But he tweeted out the other day, he said he's been in many airports throughout his life, and he's come to find out one thing just by overhearing conversations in the airport, and it's that we're a lot more alike than we are different.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And, it hit home because of everything that we've opened up about here on this podcast.
Yeah.
And it's just like the similarities and like the stories I'm seeing, and just, it's mind blowing how we've all kind of been through something similar or know somebody that has.
It's funny that you say that too. One of the things that I took out of traveling, I've traveled a lot to a lot of countries, and each time it was just kind of like, going and having fun and all this. But what I ended up taking away from it that I didn't know at the time I was taking away from it is that with each culture that I, was that I was introduced to. Through traveling, everybody's the same. They all care. They all gossiping about who so-and-so's screwing, or they want to talk about, or, so-and-so's he's drinking too much, or it's all about the family. And, they got this big sense of family. They want to eat meals together. They want to go out with their friends. They want to do this and so-and-so, I got a crush on this boy, or, you know what I mean? Like, it just blows my mind. It doesn't matter what language you speak or where you're from, what color you are. It doesn't matter. We all have the same kind of things going on in our little bubble, and it's just, we're a lot alike.
It's insane. And just to go jump into one of the comments, feeding off of that, it says, it's by James Elliott. Thank you for the comment on our last video. But he said, you watch people on YouTube for over 5 years and you think you know them. And that's just the very first sentence. And that's very powerful because right there with that comment, it's like, I would be willing to go out on a limb and say that I feel like the way we vlog our daily life, and we have in the past, we have tried to be as real as possible. Granted, now you really see the real Cullen and Katie and Brittany and everybody else, but it's like there's still that layer of onion that you have to peel back to really get into the shameful aspect of life that you don't want to portray or show.
The ugly part.
The ugly stuff.
Well, let me tell you just my thought on that is that it's not like you don't know them, because you do. They've been vlogging for 5 years, or however long they've been vlogging, but you've been watching them. These things did happen to them. This is their life. This is who they are. I mean, you get a pretty good idea of who y'all are watching your vlogs and stuff like that, because you're filming your actual life. I mean, this is real life, folks. But the thing is, if you're in the middle of an argument with your spouse, you're not going to think to turn the camera on. You know what I mean? You're not going to automatically say, oh, I just stubbed my toe. Where's my camera? You know what I mean? It's the bad stuff that you're not consciously thinking of. Oh, well, let me put this out there. Oh, well, here's a list of my dirty laundry. Let me go air that.
Right. Well, and there's been times where me and Katie have been in like the heat of an argument before, and
you're like, hey, let me get the camera.
No. But that has come up because it's been such an ongoing issue about, my substance abuse and drug addiction issues and just that kind of thing in the past, and smoking weed and that thing. I mean, if you've missed the last podcast, go listen to it, because we kind of go in depth about exactly what's going on and everything. But it's not just been necessarily weed. I said in the last podcast, my drug of choice is weed. Like, if I were to have to choose one over everything that I've experimented with, and that's what we kind of touched on, was how much we've dabbled here and there and got hooked on stuff and beaten that addiction and that drug. And there's been arguments that me and Katie have gone on, and she's like, well, if it's so common and it's so okay to society, which it is becoming more and more common and okay around the world, and we'll kind of touch on that. But she's like, if it's so common and okay, then why don't you vlog about it? And I'm like, oh, dang, that hurt.
Because
you know,
there
like
is half of the people in
that
the world
hurt.
that don't agree with it.
right. Well,
I think
and it's more of
too-
me like putting myself out there and showing that bad
Yeah.
side, and I'm just like I can't argue back to that. And
Yeah.
so there's been times after an argument, I'm like, you know what? I do need to talk about this, and I do need to show her that it's okay. But now it's like I'm glad I didn't, and I kind of reserved myself, and I went through this depressed state, and I've kind of had an enlightenment of how and why that kind of came about. And
Yeah.
but you know, there's been those times where I'm just so frustrated and irritated with my own decisions in life that I do want to get it out there, because I'm like, this will stop us from arguing and make us have a better relationship. But at the end of the day, it was just, I would just be doing it spite her. It wasn't because of something I wanted to do. And
Right.
that's what's so different about this Cullen now, is I want to do this and show y'all that I'm on the path
Yeah, you
of
took
righteousness.
taking a leap of faith, and so far you've got a lot of support behind you, I think.
Oh
you
my
know?
gosh, it's amazing.
Now, I mean, it's crazy because it's like a lot of people just get kind of hung up on what it is and what's, you know, what the substance is and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And we were talking about our dad was addicted to nasal spray.
And there
I
was a
mean,
comment that I replied to somebody. That's so crazy.
I know, because it's like when someone said that in the comment, we were going, "Oh my God, Dad was addicted to nasal spray." you
yeah.
know?
And I
Like
totally forgot he
cigarettes.
was.
Like,
I totally forgot he was addicted to nasal spray, but it was like, it started off like he had a little runny nose, and then he was like, and when he's
Yeah.
like, okay, I can breathe now. But then it was like every time he got in the car, he'd smoke a cigarette, nasal spray. Got home, nasal spray,
Yeah.
and empty bottles of nasal spray laying around.
does that make him not an addict because you don't think nasal spray is an issue? I mean,
Yeah, no.
And I
mean,
guess it really wasn't, because it's not like it was something that caused the nasal spray didn't cause problems in his marriage and life. So, I mean, I don't know.
and it's
the
something
word-
that's sold over the counter at the drugstore.
Yeah.
To help you breathe better.
I mean, it's the word. It's the weight of the word addiction. And you want to pinpoint it to a certain thing. But I think that really it's a state of mind more than anything.
Yeah.
It's the I need. We were listening to this TED talk earlier that he kind of nailed it, but it's
Golly,
it's just the weight of the word addiction. It just, people think, okay, well then it's got to be something really bad, or we've had a lot of comments where people say, well, marijuana isn't addicting. Well, maybe not to you, but maybe to somebody else it is, because it could be anything. It could be gambling, it could be porn, it could be, shopping, it could be food, it could be, and if it's causing a problem in your life, then I think that it's something that you need to address and fix, right?
Well, and I also think as a society that we tend to try to fix the actual substance that the addicted person is on, and we focus on that substance. And so it's like, what is he addicted to? What is he addicted to? Wanting to know what the substance is. So it's like, okay, he's addicted to heroin. So how can we fix him from
Well,
not
then don't
being,
give him any heroin.
how can we fix the substance, or make the substance, or take the substance away from him so he's not addicted to that
Make
substance?
it illegal. Make it, yeah.
And it's not about the substance. Like it doesn't matter. And that's the stigma that I was talking about last podcast, is like, we put so much emphasis on these drugs, like, cocaine, weed, how do we get fixed from getting on? How do you get yourself unhooked? Do you get this prescription drug that may taper you off of it, wean you off of it a little bit, to help you get off of that kind of stuff? But at the end of the day, it's all mindset, and all, all, like we've kind of already said over and over.
I agree with that 100%, because I think it's like, I mean, you can, like, personally, okay, let me just tell you, personally, I don't think of marijuana as a drug like I think of
Right.
heroin.
Right.
I don't classify those two in the same thing. I don't think.
Just like you wouldn't put beer and vodka together. I mean, you would, I guess. It's alcohol, but there's hard liquor, and then there's just a little Budweiser.
Oh, well, he's a smoker or he's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well,
Yeah,
what's the
yeah.
difference? You're addicted to cigarettes, or you're addicted to alcohol. I mean, but people don't look at a smoker like they're an addict.
Right.
I mean, some of you do, I'm sure, but I don't know. I just think that it's been interesting to kind of hear in the comments. You get people that are like, weed's not a drug, it's legal where I live, and blah, blah, blah. And then you got people that are like, weed is very much a drug. It ruined my life. You know.
Oh yeah, I was just reading a comment from this was
Somebody said my boyfriend spent all of our money on it.
Mallory Page said you can 100% be addicted to pot. I used to not believe it, but after witnessing it, I know it happens. My ex-husband has bipolar disorder, and he self-medicates with it. Doesn't work. He's good when he's high, but when he's not, he's a maniac. Anyway, I've watched him have physical withdrawal symptoms coming off of it. He smoked constantly, though. He was smoking about a quarter an ounce a week by himself. But when he was trying to quit, he couldn't find any, he would swear profusely, have nausea, vomiting, no appetite, severe headaches, shakiness. I mean, this is all from not having weed. You know, it's just like, and I think it's a mental game too. Your brain is like, I need this. Where's my like happy medicine? You know, like why am I not having fun? Oh my God, I'm gonna puke, and it's terrible. Like marijuana withdrawal is a thing, I think, and it's
here's another one. This Tasha Glover, she says, my boyfriend was really heavy weed smoker to the point that he would spend his last money on it. He couldn't do anything without it. It's totally addictive for some people. He went through the same thing at night when we quit. He had night sweats, couldn't sleep for nearly 2 weeks, and he could only sleep for a couple hours a night. For me, it wasn't that because it wasn't that bad because she wasn't smoking as much, but I always smoked before bed, so it took a few days to learn how to sleep without it.
That's how it was for me. I talked about it in the last page. That's so intriguing. I don't even think I saw that comment. Like the bed sweats. Like I was like, why am I sweating all of a sudden so much?
And then she even went in to say that she used to be addicted, that they used to be addicted to harder stuff, and thought that, we used to be addicted to harder stuff, then thought that weed would help keep them away from the harder stuff. It turned out to be a double-edged sword. We've been clean off the hard stuff for 7 years. Congratulations.
Congrats. That's another thing.
And clean off weed for 2 years. It's definitely hard, but so worth it once you get past the hard part of it. Good for you realizing you have addictions and trying to better yourself. I mean, that was just, that was one that I saw and read and was like, you know, I mean, it's just, it all boils down to the person. I mean, I think the core of it and what I think is the most important, which I'm no expert, Colin, so please hold it. You know what I mean? I'm not a doctor here, but just for me personally, I'll say that I think that it's realizing what it was that was making me want to alter my state of mind, and to feel like something had control over me, and I did not like that feeling, and I wanted to know why. And was it because I was lonely, or because of I had some self-esteem issues? What was the core root of the problem? I know we talk a lot about like our family history and stuff, like there's traumas and there's things like that, you know,
right.
You're thinking, okay, well, let's get to the core of the problem, and then take away the need to feel like you have to be dependent on something else.
Right. Kind of like referring back to this TED Talk we were just kind of reviewing and listening to, like, just he was talking about the Rat Park. I don't know if anybody listening has heard this TED Talk, but how they had the water bottles, and one water bottle was full of heroin and vodka or whatever, and another water bottle was just regular water. And when they were isolated, these rats were isolated by themselves. They were doing experiments. The rats would always prefer the water bottle with the drugs, and then end up killing themselves, overdosing or whatever. But when they created Rat Park, quote unquote, it was filled with other rats, and they would have sex, and they would have friends, and they would have fun. But the two water bottles, big cheese balls, and the two water bottles were still present. They didn't move the water bottles. They just made it more fun, a much more fun environment, a connected environment with friends and family of the same species. And almost, I think they said none of the rats chose the water bottle. I mean, not none of them, but like none of them overdosed, or there was the persistent going back for that need.
There's a couple of rats that dabbled.
Yeah, I'm sure there were.
but it wasn't like it wasn't like the study where they were isolated and by themselves and just felt like the need to alter their mindset. Yeah,
I was listening to this podcast this past week, and that's another thing. Like you were saying, like some people choose to go to meetings and some don't. And I haven't been back since the last time I went. I need to go back. I'm probably going to try to go to another one this week. It's fun. Like it's actually fun. It's hard to explain why it's fun, but the past ones I've been to, I've had a blast. And it's that the common denominator of having the connection with somebody that's been there, done that. Yeah. But, Katie even, like, she'll get on Facebook groups. There's so much more access to things for you publicly now in this day and age, to where you can get the treatment that you need by, not having to break the bank necessarily or go fly out to LA and spend a week with Dr. Drew or whatever.
Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil, yeah. But there's a comment here from DF that says some are just prone to addiction. Addiction is prevalent around here, especially. My son-in-law, for example, he had an addictive personality. He would just sit with his 24-pack of beer and slam them back one after one in the space of an hour and act like it didn't affect him. He never drank just a couple of anything alcoholic, actually. It was always to get drunk. So, I mean, it was just like...
He was on a mission.
But yeah, he was on a mission. And so this podcast I was listening to, I can't remember the name of it. I need to pull it up and look it up. But he said, I think the title of it is like, why do we have addiction issues or something like that? And he said to find out, and it kind of goes back to the whole rat park isolation theory or scenario. But he said to find out if you do have an addiction to whatever it is, say it's food, sit in an empty room on an empty stomach for 2 hours by yourself. That's it. And then if you can't sit there by yourself in an empty room on an empty stomach for 2 hours by yourself and enjoy it and have time, not necessarily enjoy it. You're probably going to be irritated here and there, but like your brain will start to say, get me out of here. This is so freaking boring. I'm so freaking bored. I'm hungry. Oh my God. Or you learn to cope with it. And if you have an addiction problem, your brain's going to say the first thing, but like you learn to cope with it. And same thing with, being addicted to weed or something. And it's so hard to explain. It's that isolation that kind of triggers you when you're by yourself to turn to what your chosen substance is. So
idle hands.
Yeah. So like when Katie would leave the house to take the kids to school or go run errands or something, I can honestly say my brain immediately, as soon as that door shut, switched to, okay, she's gone. What can I go get high? What do I have any weed left, or do I have this, or do I have that? Not just one, it was to hide it from her because I didn't want it to smell by the time she got back. Yes. And that's just the stupidity in me. But like two, it was like my dependency in my brain just went straight to, I can't just sit here by myself in my nice house that I've worked my ass off for and enjoy it without being high. Yeah. And that is just sad. And so I challenge you, if you're listening or watching, if you have an issue of whatever it may be, take that issue. If say it's food or say it's pornography or something like that, and sit in a room and don't be on your phone. Don't read a book. Don't, you want to be clear headed, and it's almost like a form of meditation. And just a clarity and actually seeing, okay, I really do have an addiction problem if I can't sit in the room and just, enjoy my freaking life and be thankful for it and what I've worked for and what I have without having to get high or get food or whack off or, whatever the addiction is, and so it's a lot of self-talk that I've been doing and like deep introspective mind deception. Your brain is so freaking weird how it'll play tricks on you and make you think things that you don't want to necessarily think. And when you have that willpower and that urge just to, take the next step and be the bigger person and tell your brain to shove it, then your brain tells your body to pick up the cigarette and put it up to your lip every time. It's like, but if you can tell your brain, no, I'm not going to do that. And then just slap your hand back down. No, I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not going to do that. No. And I don't know what is like 10,000 hours creates a habit of doing something over and over, or 30 days or something like that. I don't know. If you can get through that and break that cycle of my brain telling me I need this, but your body's showing you that you can actually have a fun freaking life without it. Yeah. Then you can beat addiction, I think. And I don't know. It's, oh my God, it gets really deep.
There's a lot of like controversy about that too. Like some people say once an addict, you're always an addict. Like you'll always be an addict. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I just, for me personally, I mean, and let me ask you this too. I told y'all on the last podcast that, I had a problem with cocaine or whatever. And this was, I think I said 15, but it's not. It's been like 13 or 12 or 13 years ago that I've been clean from that. And hadn't done that, because that was the only thing, I think, out of all the drugs that I've tried and dabbled in or whatever, that was the only one that I ever felt like had me by the balls. Like, I couldn't get away from it. Like, my mind was consumed by it. So there was that. But then the other one I was thinking about when you were just talking about cigarettes, I started smoking. I was stealing cigarettes from my dad's pack when I was 12.
Yeah, I remember that.
I didn't know how to smoke them, but I was trying. That's what started it. You know what I mean? And I smoked cigarettes. And, y'all know, if you watched our vlogs, that our dad passed of lung cancer. And even from smoking cigarettes, and even after he's passed, I still smoked cigarettes. And you'd think that something like that would be eye-opening enough and would wake you up enough to my addiction for cigarettes that it needed to stop, because it was going to kill me. Mm-hmm. It was killing my best friend, my dad. You know what I mean? The person I love more than anything. And I still couldn't quit. And let me just go ahead and shout out Mr. Alan Carr. Thank you, sir, for your book. That is what had me quit cigarettes, was a book called The Easy Way. I
remember you told me about that book.
Annie sent it to me. My sister sent it to me, and she quit for a couple months, and then she got drunk and started smoking again.
Annie, get off the cigarettes.
Annie, and the booze. But, like we're some saints. Annie's like the good one. And we're like, Annie, get your shit together.
Well, finish your story. But, that's where the whole thing comes in, is like you force it on somebody, they're just going to go harder.
Yeah. Exactly. And it was kind of one of those things that was like, I literally, when Dad passed and when he got sick, I literally had tried everything that I could to quit. And I say that and I mean it. I did hypnosis, y'all. I did the gum. I did the patches. I had burned square skin marks all over my hips and then arms from these patches. And I tried Chantix. Chantix, oh my God!
I remember you telling me about that. How you were scared about it.
It gives you nightmares. I woke up thinking I'd murdered all of y'all.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm looking for the blood on my hands.
Oh,
I mean, it was so
really?
real life. Yeah, you think pregnancy dreams are real life dreams? No, this is like, I woke up like, why am I not in prison? They're coming to get me. Like, get out of the back door, because I just slaughtered my family. That's the kind of dreams that I would have on Chantix, but. It was miserable, and it still didn't help. I still was smoking cigarettes. And then Annie sent me this book, and the only reason that I even read it, was because she said that I could smoke while I read it. First of all, I was like, okay, there's no way reading a book is going to help me quit smoking cigarettes. All these things I've tried, and a book's going to help me? Yeah, right.
Right.
Well, she said, but you can smoke while you read it, so what's the harm in it? If you can still smoke.
Just try it, yeah.
Yeah, you read it while you're smoking a cigarette. And I said, okay, well, yeah, that's a good point. So I started reading this book. And there's a chapter at the end of the book where it says, okay, smoke your final cigarette. I didn't even make it to that chapter, and I was over it.
Really?
I did not want any. And it's not like,
wow.
I know, I'm just like, I'm shouting this book out. You know what I mean? I'm pushing this book right now, but it really did work for me. So if any of y'all are smoking and you don't want to smoke anymore.
Is it just strictly for cigarette smoking, or can you apply it to addiction in general? I'm interested to look at it now.
I've did the one for losing weight. And it wasn't the same for me, but for cigarettes anyway, it was good. It worked for me, and I passed the book along afterwards, and it worked for a couple other people that got the book after me. So there's something about it, but it wasn't like scare tactics. Oh, you're going to die if you smoke cigarettes. Well, I already knew that. You know what I mean?
Right,
that didn't stop me. It wasn't a bunch of pictures of smokers' lungs or anything.
Well, and Mom tried to do the whole exposure method or whatever, where she set you down when she found out you were at a young age and found out you were smoking Dad's cigarettes, and
made me smoke a whole bunch of packs.
Took 2 packs of Dad's cigarettes out of his carton that he had, and she sat you down and said, you want to smoke cigarettes? Smoke these right now, all of them.
She thought I was going to get sick. I just learned how to blow smoke rings. Thanks, Mom. She was trying, you know. That was the
I got a
thing
cool
to do.
party trick my mom taught me. Look.
She was trying to make me sick, you know. But
Yeah, but I mean, as a parent, oh golly, I'm like terrified about what
that kind of thing.
and yeah, like what do you do? What else would mom? I'm sure she was doing the best she could. Like she
Yeah.
did do the best she could, but
Oh,
like
yeah.
you don't know what to do when your 13-year-old daughter is smoking your dad's cigarettes. Except blame your husband because he's got
He's a
cigarettes
smoker,
laying
yeah.
around. Yeah, and it's just like. And you can preach it all day long, left and right. This is bad. This is bad. Don't do this. Don't do that. But when you see your dad doing it all his life and all your
Yeah.
life, it's like, Dad's
remember-
not home. There's a cigarette.
I remember, I think I was 9 years old, and I was in his bedroom, and he wasn't in there or whatever. But he had that ashtray that I made him an ashtray when I was, kindergarten or something.
Oh,
But,
I remember that. You like carved it out of a rock. Or something.
and I took one of the cigarette butts that are in the ashtray, and I would stand in front of his mirror. I'm 9 years old, a little girl, and I would stand in front of the
Wow.
mirror and hold it like Dad held it. And
Oh, my
I mean, that
gosh.
just shows you how influential. Yeah,
Mimicking your parents. Yeah.
But I mean, 20 years I smoked cigarettes, and I was like a heavy smoker. And then I was drinking a lot back then, which alcohol's never been one of those things for me where I was like, I feel like I'm an alcoholic. It's just, I just haven't. I feel like I don't like alcohol. I don't like the taste of it that much. You know what I mean?
Right. And you feel
When
like
I
shit
drink-
the next day,
Yeah.
honestly. Like the older I've gotten, like it was a problem, and it's been an issue like on the weekends as far as like football games and stuff like that. As far as just, I like to just go hard when I drink. Sometimes, it's like it's a release of just like
You like getting fucked up.
yeah, essentially. When I was into that, but like it's one of those things. Like when me and Katie had to talk about, okay, it's getting out of hand. We're doing it every night of the week. We went to, okay, we're not doing this anymore. Let's change the way because it's like, just like you explained. We would leave the vodka bottle sitting on the counter with the cracked can of juice next to it with the little Mio, flavored water, and then syrupy stains all over the counter, and the spoon that you stirred your mixed drink with. And then the kids come down and they see that, and they got used to seeing that sitting on the counter every single night and every single day. And it's just like, what are we showing our kids? Like,
Yeah.
they don't know, no, and then they want to have a sip of it because that's what mommy and daddy are drinking. And you have to explain to them, no, this is an adult beverage, or it's got caffeine in it, or, you make up some story so they don't want to drink your alcoholic
Because you're
drink.
ashamed because you
Yeah.
look like an alky in front of your kid.
Yeah, and then so Katie's like, okay, it was a slow process, but she was like, okay, if we're gonna let's at least put our liquor bottle and beer cans in the trash can or up when we're done, so it doesn't just look like a frat house or a frat party every day for our kids. And so just kind of showing the control aspect, I guess, of that addiction. Or of that substance, we just said we're not doing it except on the weekends, and it's not been an issue at all. Like, I don't even miss drinking.
A lot of people-
at night or during the day. I mean,
feel like-
during the week.
I feel like you might get a lot of hate for that because a lot of people think that if you're an addict and you in your mind think, okay, well, I'm addicted to this substance, then that means that you can't do any other substance that you don't feel like you have that addiction towards.
Oh, and after all this news came out, if you want to call it that, after all this real life came out of our life that we've already showing you,
Yeah, when we started talking about
this
yeah.
addiction stuff, I posted a vlog on our main channel from like a week prior to all the news. And there was controversy on our main channel in the comments because it was Mexican night and I had a margarita glass in front of me. And there was like, I sure hope that wasn't a margarita glass in front of Cullen. Oh my God. I hope this
You
was,
hadn't even quit yet.
yeah. I was like, I hope this was filmed before the addiction phase or da-da-da-da. And I'm like, screw that. Like, screw you. If you think I can't sit there and have a margarita with my wife on a Friday night and kids on a Friday night, and like that's I don't want that to be like the typical response in the future when you see Cullen holding a drink because I've come out and said I have addiction issues. That's not like, I don't know. It's very
judgy.
Yeah, it's there's a certain
Now,
line of responsibility versus like actually going
on the flip side of that
hard.
coin, they do say you got to abstain from everything. You know what I mean? Like, and when you go to these meetings, and you've probably heard them when you've been, like, that was a big thing. Was you gotta
True.
stop everything.
True,
like,
true.
if you really want to get serious about, okay, well, I'm addicted. Let's say I'm addicted to cocaine. Well, then I go to a meeting and they say, you have to abstain from every drug, cocaine, weed, heroin, Xanax,
I see
alcohol.
that. Yeah, I totally see that.
You need to completely put yourself away until you heal and get better.
Right.
And they say forever, really. You're
Right.
never going to be healed. You're never going to be better. And I think, it's just a matter of opinion. A lot of you that have been through addiction and that have family members that have been through it are going to say, you can't be an addict and dabble in certain things.
Well, and so that's the thing is like, I'm telling myself and you, like listening and watching, that I'm not going to sit there and drink a margarita and then come home and smoke a blunt.
Yeah.
Like that's, but I'm going to go have a margarita if I want a margarita on a Friday night, on date night or whatever, and then come home and enjoy the rest of the evening, just without smoking a blunt like I used to.
Do you feel like you're more inclined to want that blunt?
No, I mean, not
after drinking.
No, that's the thing is like, and the whole thing with the weed too, being a gateway drug or whatever, you start smoking weed and then you're inclined to get into cocaine or, wanting more and this and that and the other, but no. And it's weird. It's like I've completely taken that step out of my skin in that aspect of my life. And I don't even crave it. And that's the cool part about it is once you get past that first initial bed sweat and all that, it's like I feel so much better. Yeah. And I mentioned this on Katie's live stream last night. Y'all have said it several times how I just look clear-headed, and I've never understood what Katie meant this whole time about how I'm just quote unquote different and when I'm high. And I'm like, how am I different? I'm actually funnier. I feel like I'm more involved with the kids, but now I don't even know why I tried to justify that back in the past. It's like I completely see and feel a difference. There's just not that foggy haze, or I don't have to get high to put a bench together or whatever the case may be. So no, I don't feel like, I'm inclined to do that, especially knowing that I've taken the step to like get clean, stay clean, and not do anything revolving that. I wanted to touch on what you said, and this is kind of interesting that I've didn't even know was a thing until I started kind of looking into it. But you mentioned something about dreams, your vivid dreams with Chantix, and since I have stopped smoking weed and
you had some crazy ones?
I used to never, Katie would wake up and tell me all her dreams, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Like, dreams are dreams. If you remember them, you just must have a good dream memory or something, Like, I don't get it. But now, since I've stopped, my freaking gosh, my dreams have been so clear, and it's so weird. Like, and some of them have been about drug use, it's like, but I've, not woken up craving or wanting or anything like that. It's just like, I cannot believe, like, this is insane. And I remember when I was looking into this, but I remember watching a Joe Rogan podcast. And if y'all watch Joe Rogan or know anything about Joe Rogan, he's a pothead. And then, like, he likes to have fun on the side. And every year, him and his group of boys, as a collective friend group, hold each other accountable, an accountability partner, whatever you want to call it. They do Sober October. And so they go the whole month of October with no drugs, and they'll like sit there and smoke a blunt on September 29th or 31st or whatever. How many days are in September? But they'll go, a whole, they'll sit there and smoke a blunt and sip on whiskey on the last day. And then October 1st, they're clean and they get into yoga and they do all this activity for,
Right.
And he talks about how vivid his dreams are for that month. And it's just so crazy. And I'm like, that is so weird how I've been having these crazy vivid dreams.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. Like, I don't really listen to him or, know anything about it, but that's just crazy that he drinks and smokes and does his thing or whatever, and then he goes through like this little detox period. Mm-hmm. It's like, could a real addict do that?
And that's what I'm wondering. But is it?
I mean, there's so many people that say, "Oh, you can't. You have to not do anything." But like for me personally, I don't feel like I'm ever going to want to go do cocaine again. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's the thing. Yeah.
Like, I feel like I've beat that. I kicked it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Like cigarettes. I don't ever want to smoke a cigarette again.
Yeah.
I've beat that. I've kicked that. Those are the two things that I felt like really controlled me. had control over me. I didn't like the way that felt. And I stopped doing them. And it was very, very hard
Yeah.
to stop doing that. And I needed help. And I needed other people. I needed to go to meetings. And I needed to get help. But then once I got over it, then it was like, okay, well, I'm past that. I don't feel like I need to continue to wallow in it.
Yeah, that's true.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
I just wanted to put that part of my life behind me.
And see, I wonder if when Joe's doing this, I'm pretty sure he came up with the term or the concept of Sober October. But is that his inner voice coming out, like trying to inspire his friends that may be going through some addiction issues, or is it him trying to, beg for help
reel himself in,
check himself, saying, okay, I've been smoking all month, all year.
Oh yeah,
October's here. Let's get clean. Let's enjoy ourselves. But it's so interesting listening to his recap of the end of the month and stuff, and just how much
just wanted to get high on life.
How much they enjoy not smoking, but then they're sitting there on November 1st smoking a blunt.
Like, woo, let's light it up.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, I cannot wait till this yoga session is over. We're gonna get lit November 1st, and it's hilarious. But I mean, it's just one of those things. Is that him trying to influence his friends to be better, or him be better? And I don't know. And this is something y'all don't necessarily know about. Me and Katie went to several marriage counseling classes, and just because of, if it wasn't, the root of the problem is out there on the table. We've kind of already discussed that. But behind the scenes, we were having marriage issues because of this issue that we didn't talk about publicly or anything like that. And so we were trying to work on our marriage thinking that would fix the root of the issue, which it, ultimately doesn't or won't unless you get to the root of the issue. And so I went to this, within this, it's a Christian foundation or something, but they offer different, obviously, based on what your addiction is or what your issue is, different therapists or counselors. And so I went by myself one time because I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go to this guy and see what, and I was thinking it was going to be talking about, like, it was just going to be a one-on-one, man-to-man type thing about not necessarily addiction, but like, how can I better myself to help my marriage out? That type of thing.
I remember that.
But this guy ended up being like an AA guy, or, he ended up being like, he's an Alcoholic Anonymous counselor, or, an alcoholic counselor or an alcohol abuse counselor or whatever. But that was his first thing, was like, you need to go to AA meetings. You need to get rid of all the alcohol. And I was like, I came in here to talk about marriage issues. Like, what are you talking about? I was just like blindsided by it. And I didn't really take anything he said to heart. And I was like, okay, I'm going to find somebody else because that's not my issue. But I guess I reached out to the guy, so I can't blame him. But it just wasn't what I was looking for at the time. But now looking back on it, I'm like, damn, I should have listened to that guy, and that may have helped things come out sooner, out of my skin.
I don't think you were ready for that.
Right. I just didn't want to hear it because I was like, how nerve-wracking is it to walk into an AA meeting when you've never been? And he was like, there's a meeting tonight over at this church, you can go, and I'm just like, he was like trying to, talk me into going and talk me into taking all the alcohol out of the house. And I never even told him I had drug issues, like smoking and trying to get high and doing other things. It was just like he was doing his job, and I didn't want to have time for it because I didn't think he was telling me what I wanted to hear.
He wasn't telling you what you wanted to hear.
Right.
That was it. See, right. I don't know if I completely agree with you on the alcohol thing. I think that for me, like, I drink and stuff, but and Corey drinks, and you got people that can go and have a drink and then go home and not think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you got people that'll go and have a drink and then stop and get more drinks on the way home, and things like that. So I guess it's really just, you have to decide for yourself if you have a problem with alcohol. I don't know if you do or not. I know that you have a more addictive personality, I think, than I do personally. I just think that you, like you said, you like to go hard, and I do too. I mean, I've partied a lot in my days, and there's always alcohol around, especially when you're like in your 20s and you're going out and you're partying and you're a good time Charlie, and you want to get drinks and shots for everybody at the bar.
And especially if you've had a rough traumatic childhood, and you're out with your friends and they're like, shots at the bar, woohoo, and you take that sip and you start feeling good, and then you start feeling like you are loved and wanted that you never felt before in your life.
Yeah.
And so it's like, give me that feeling, give me that rush again, give it to me again, give it to me again. And before you know it, you're either an alcoholic, drunk, dead, whatever the case may be. And so that's the thing, is like that you're constantly searching for that connection of love and, wanting to be around people that like you and want to be with you, no matter what the cost.
And you think
I
that you always
huge.
think that when you're drunk, you think that you look prettier and you look, and and you act a little, smarter,
Looser,
and you're a little more charming, and you have the courage to walk up to that person and talk to them, and you come out of your shell a little bit. This liquid courage is what I call it. But that's kind of one of the reasons I liked drinking. And, I hadn't drank, obviously, because I'm pregnant. But before I got pregnant, I was drinking. But it definitely wasn't something that I would do every night. It's like I would go drink, and I'd party or whatever. And then every now and then the next day I'd feel like death.
Yeah.
And for 3 days after that, I feel like death because I'm in my 30s now. I'm not in my 20s anymore. I was like, oh, I'm never drinking again. And then
you try to find those smart water bottles and those little tricks of the trade, the hangover cures, like all this stuff, so I can do it again because I loved that feeling of my self-esteem was boosted.
yeah,
Well,
that's your take on it. I was like, oh, do we have to go out drinking again? I don't want to ever go do that again. But eventually you forget about how bad you felt, and then you remember how much fun it was when you were, taking shots of tequila and y'all were all having a good time playing that drinking game.
I can say that I don't think, except for margarita, I don't think I've touched a shot of tequila since that one time in high school, because my ears were ringing and I didn't know what was going on around me, and I was like, never again. And the smell of it just makes me.
I think
nauseous.
Dad made you eat the worm one time.
That too, yeah.
That must I thought that would have probably been like the final straw for you and tequila. But what I'm saying is that, like, you say, okay, well, I can drink and then, not smoke. And you said that drinking doesn't make you want to smoke, or doesn't make you want to go do your drug of choice or whatever, that one has nothing to do with the other. And, you say that so definitely. And I'm trying, and a part of me is just like, well, I don't know, Cullen.
There are times when people are weak. Yes. And I can see you're even weaker. Your barriers your boundaries are a little bit lowered. Your self-esteem's up, but your boundaries are lower when you're drunk. So I could totally see what you're saying. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I'm out here by myself at a convention or whatever. I'm hammered and so-and-so's passing a joint that's legal or whatever the case may be. Yeah, and like, oh sure, let me hit this. And then it's just like, oh, that was an awesome feeling last night. And it helped my hangover because I smoked instead of drank so much this time. And then, then I'm just back in that vicious cycle. So I totally see what you're saying. Yeah, that could be detrimental.
I just thinking, for now, because you are, feel like this is something that you really need to get control over in your life. And, I want you to take it seriously. Maybe think twice about, drinking or whatever.
That's good. I agree.
But that's, I guess, going to be my question for y'all. And that's what I was getting at, was that, do y'all think that you can be addicted to one thing and not to another? Do you categorize all of them together, or do you separate them? I mean, I know a lot of people, especially those that are in Canada or legal states or whatever, say, well, it's hard for me to look at marijuana like it's a drug. Mm-hmm. But I mean, do you categorize, do you think that in order to get off one, you have to get off all the other, even if you don't personally feel like you have a problem with any of the others? Mm-hmm. So
that's a very intriguing question.
I might stir the pot a little bit.
I like that. That is very intriguing.
But I'd like to hear what y'all think, because I mean, y'all have been so great in leaving these comments for us and telling us your stories and stuff. And there's a lot of different opinions out there, and some I don't like. And I'll be honest with you, some people I just think are rude as hell.
Y'all don't mess with pregnant Brittany.
By the way, if you've seen my name pop up in the comments, it's probably from the Southern Fried Maple Leafs from my channel. It's probably me dog cussing somebody.
I sent her a gift the other day of like a bulldog, like trying to bounce out of his leash. I'm like, hold the bulldog back. Like, golly.
I mean, F you. If you want to talk shit about me, I'm going to talk shit back to you.
This is what a podcast is for talking shit.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody said, oh God, she talks too much. I said, you can go yourself. And this is a podcast where you're supposed to you tune in to listen to people talk. Like it just
Like, what kind of comment is
it's
that?
just
honestly?
so idiotic. But anyway, so if I've cussed you, I'm kind of sorry.
I'm kind of sorry. Like a backhanded apology.
I'm working on
kinda
myself.
sorry.
I'm working on my anger issues, right? Cullen, you work on your addiction.
Oh,
I work
gosh.
on my anger.
Hey,
issues.
anger is an addiction. I mean, I've heard of people having to go to anger addiction, like
Anger management,
Anger management.
yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that's an issue too. But
Yeah.
I think that's a good question to end on with this
Yeah.
podcast. And just the stories are unreal. We'll get into more of these as the weeks go by.
Yeah.
But
Tell us your opinions.
Jeez, that's amazing.
I want to know. Tell me what you think. If you think that one is automatically tied to all the other.
Thank
And,
you all for all the love and support.
Yes.
Love each and freaking every one of y'all. Be sure to subscribe. You can get this podcast on any of your favorite listening podcast apps. You can watch it
go
on
follow
YouTube,
us on Instagram too.
Instagram.
We don't have a lot of folks on Instagram. Y'all need to come follow us over there.
We should do a live show on a live stream on Instagram. We did that, I think, on episode 22. But we should do another live stream on Instagram and answer your questions live and that kind
That
of
would
thing.
be cool. I
That'd
know
be fun.
Katie and you've been doing that.
Yeah.
Like Katie's been doing that. That's
I was intrigued
really
with
interact
that.
with you guys. Yeah, that would be awesome.
So
Here's
maybe
some
we'll do that
stories.
soon.
Okay.
But just real quick before we sign off here, we do have hopefully an addictions specialist counselor coming on the podcast
In a couple
for
weeks,
a special
yeah.
guest. So we're
There's
working on
my counselor. Yeah,
working on lining that up.
She's
so.
amazing, and we're really excited about getting her on. Hopefully, it'll be in a couple weeks. It's still in the works. I don't want to say anything definite yet,
Yeah,
but
but-
we reached out, and she said that yes, she'd love to do it. So we'll hopefully have a awesome guest for y'all to listen to. And you know what? I was thinking that'd be kind of cool just to get some people on just for you to help you too through this. Is to have some people come on. Like if we have this platform, why not use it for good and for y'all too, and just get some professional opinions on these things.
I'm excited about that. I was
I'm
like, she
really
may have a new customer after this podcast.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
once we interview her, but
It's
like
good.
I can't
She's
wait.
good. She's very about she's very inspirational about healing and just healing from the core of the problem, and I love that. I think that's like the key to a successful recovery. So anyway,
Totally.
y'all stay tuned for that, and then check out sorry, I'm gonna plug myself.
go ahead,
check
yeah.
out my Instagram and my YouTube. I'm the Southern Fried Maple Leafs on both of those.
You about to have a baby.
Yeah, come watch our little
Oh my
baby
gosh.
journey because I'm
I cannot
excited if
wait.
y'all are into that.
And Mom, God, what was I going to say? I was going to say something about Mom if you're watching. I can't remember now.
You tell her to come on the podcast.
I want Mom to come on the podcast too. Geez, I can't remember what I was going to say. Anyway, so that'll do it for this episode of Don't Tell Mom. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Mom, look, we're doing work. We are doing work behind the scenes. We got guests lined up. We got addiction recovery going on. We got babies about to pop out.
You can tell Mom about all this.
You can tell Mom all about this. We're putting it out there in the internet. So thank y'all for watching. We will see y'all next time. Don't tell Mom.
Don't tell Mom. Peace.